mic popping issues and more Megaman banging soundtrack. I do hope. Tell us if there's any more of those Megaman banging soundtrack. I do, and a bit of echo as well. Well, do tell us if it's back. I do hope it's fixed though.
Man, I'm getting psyched with this this new jazzy remix of these Mega Man tracks here. I wonder how the players feel. I wonder if any of them practiced any of these other stages they're not used to, or if they're like, I'll just show up, do what I know, throw in, wing it a little bit on some of the other stages, and just see what happens. I'm not sure where the players are at in terms of how dedicated they are to today's fun tournament, especially those people who didn't qualify on the first round and are concerned about, making grand finals with qualifiers just a week away.
Yeah, some players are not joining probably because they want to practice or focus on the next important tournament. We should have been running that category on last Thursday, but we had some difficulties and we are going to start soon. So we do have only 10 players, so top 9 will qualify, and the first 2 turns are going to be a bit less stressful. We're going for 9 than 8. And then it's going to be 2 eliminated per turn, so it's going to start soon. So we'll see. Andy Shepard, Devil Tifa, Little Mai, and KTH have all very, very good times on the 10 bosses category for UD7. So they are very, very experienced with at least 10 bosses. I would guess more like 12, meaning that they do have some more to put in for today if they want to finish on top. So let's.
There's also a natural advantage to anyone who had one route and then switched to another. That experience on that route is going to come in today. We can see most players are starting with the guts that we always see in Mega Man 1 because it is so much faster, but we are seeing Bomb Man from Devil Tifa. This is the second fastest actually available in Mega Man 1, so not a surprise to see it.
If Devil Tifa, though, doesn't make it, if everybody else is going for Gutsman, that means they're going to lose at least 10 to 15 seconds on that level alone, and if that could be it. Like if you do decide on the opposite way with the meta game here, you are going to lose so much. And yeah, we are going to do Mega Man 1, 2, and 3. One Robot Master per, and then see who's still running at the end. And if you're last, you're going to get eliminated. So it's a rough ask because it all depends on what are all 9 runners doing.
Yeah, this is you could have like backroom deals of everyone choosing, like, we're all going to go Gutsman and we're all going to beat Devil Tifa because he's not going to do it, and we're going to eliminate him early, right? Who knows? You could do that. That could be the mind games, the strategy, the conniving, right? Oh, or does someone betray? Yeah, that's another thing.
If everybody goes for Gutsman, and you're just the one doing, you have like a couple of runners actually doing Bomb Man or Cut Man first, then you're going to gain a lot of time in later rounds, and you just, and if you do fall even in iframes, you are going to die in Mega Man 1 on the spikes. Those are a bit gentler in the further episodes of this series, but yeah, spikes in Mega Man 1 are very, very tough.
Elim will give you some of the rules here for today's tournament, because I know it's a really weird and not so straightforward, so there's going to be a lot of people asking. We got Devil Tifa, is already going to be losing, almost 20 seconds going for Bomb Man rather than Guts, but now with that death is also getting set back quite a ways. But remember, we're doing 3. I cannot believe what is happening on KTH's stream there. The stream just could not handle this waterfall. Notoriously difficult to stream this level. But it is pretty fast. It's quite fast. In the top 3, Metal is second, but Little Mai just died here, so that's going to set him back quite a ways. Andy Shepard is going for Woodman, which is very surprising. Woodman is the second slowest.
Yeah. Oh no, Crashman is very, very long with the very slow ladders, but Going for Woodman is a surprising one, considering the players do so many fast bosses in the 10 bosses category. Level 5 is finally done. Meanwhile, KTH appears to be still at the start of the stage, but the stream is going to lag quite a bit because of that waterfall. Sadly, Bubble Man. Maybe harder stage to stream of all Megaman combined.
Which is not a factor in the speed of the level, so players are free to choose whichever stream-destroying stages they wish to choose. Andy Shepard, very low here, getting bullied by some of these monkeys that come up here. You don't get the item 2 to rocket past these guys, nor do you get to zip past them with the item 1, so you kind of have to stop and deal with them. The metal blades are really good at this, but again, you don't have those either. You're pretty much working with Buster only in this category because you have to reset in between Robot Masters. Indeed, you're switching games entirely, so you're only ever doing one from each Robot Master. Has got past the monkeys, has dealt with the robot, still has to deal with the chickens on the final screen here. I think they are. I don't know what they are, but the rabbit. It's a tough jump over that rabbit. So we're back to the checkpoint. This is like a 30-second setback.
And minimal Devil Tifa actually goes for Flashman, which is the fastest of all the classic Mega Man. And I like that. I like that strat. You put in a slow one, and then you combine it with a faster one, and you are assured not to fall too much behind compared to a runner that would go for all the slowest ones. Meanwhile, Little Mai is already switching to Mega Man 3, so is Fireman. So Andy Shepard is going to be in a tough spot for the remaining of the race here.
Devil Tifa with a really good Flashman fight, killing him as soon as he touches the left side of the screen. Very well done. It takes an absolute pro Mega Man player in order to kill him faster than that, because you're avoiding getting hit entirely usually. We're seeing all top man all the way across in Mega Man 3. Everyone, I guess, is probably feeling shaky about having done at least one stage they're not used to. So on their third, they're like, I need to make sure that I finish this cleanly, so I'm going with what I know.
So Devil Tifa is going to have a nice turn 3 and 5, having done already one of the longer levels on Mega Man 1, but everybody's burning their Mega Man 3 card. The Top Man is the boss everybody does, the level everybody does in the Mega Man 10 bosses in the UD7, so now they are going to have to improvise a little bit. Needleman, Top Man, Shadow Man are very, very fast levels, but Magnet Man is probably a safer bet, so we'll see what they do in the later rounds in that fun tournaments we're having. But Fireman is doing great so far, so is Little Mai ahead of everybody else.
Andy Shepard dying here in Woodman, had to make the jump over the leaf shield. It is very tough. It is a very, very big hitbox. Second try here is going to have more health and probably going to get this down. We're getting the cats here from Fireman and Little Mai and Devil Tifa. Very tough to mash down these cats. We're seeing 2 shots per jump from Devil Tifa. You can get 3 if you're really aggressive about it, but it's really not so easy to mash that button while moving around, dodging the yarn balls and everything. Players opting also to get the health to refill at the end here. There's not too much of a concern of taking more damage throughout the rest of the stage. It's not too hard to dodge what Top Man has in store for you, but I think it's pretty common to see the players want at least a little bit of insurance, just a couple seconds to ensure you don't lose, 20 or something to a really bad death. Dropping into the Top Man fight here, as Andy Shepard is now finally done with wood, a whole stage behind the others. There are 6 other players competing off stream. We have no idea where they are relative to Andy Shepard, but he could be on the chopping block.
Yeah, sadly they probably are actually. Devil Tifa, Little Mai, and Fireman are troubles here, so it's going to be a bit worrisome for Andy Shepard. Devil Tifa actually finishes first of our 4 players here. Second is Little Mai, third is Fireman, and Andy Shepard indeed is going to be our last player. And apparently everybody is going for the fastest levels in the first turn. Everybody is getting worried, apparently.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what players decide to do. I'm thinking now about the great gambit that is Needleman. There are a lot of stages in Mega Man 3 that are all really close. Top Shadow, Magnet, Spark. But Needle's faster than all of them. It's just a ridiculously hard boss fight. I don't know if anyone's put in the time to practice. You have to. There are very few players who can just wing it on Needleman and even survive. It's such a difficult fight to dodge Needleman's needles. I think with the options presented in Magnet and Spark, Shadow's a little scary towards the end with the paratroopers, but I think those two are probably so much more appealing than Needle, but they've got like 10 seconds on the table if they decided to practice that fight and get it down.
I don't think 10 seconds are enough. Andy Shepard is probably going to get hurt by that mat quite a bit and then take the health and then move on. We're all almost at the end of the stage, but in 9 minutes I feel like everybody else is probably done and already preparing mentally at least and deciding what they're going to do on Megaman 4, 5 and 6 just upcoming right now. Fastest on Megaman 4 is the well-known Pharaoh Man. At that point everybody does it in the 10 bosses category for UD7, but once again, the gambit of taking a slower one like Devil Fat did, and that paid off for them in the first turn. So I don't know. Maybe everybody is going to move to a slower one like Toadman or Dustman.
7 players have finished and typed in their .done so far, so there is still time for ND Shepard. Also factoring in stream delay and things, I bet it's going to be pretty close. Top man here is a pretty straightforward fight. Most players are aiming for 3 hits per cycle. It's possible to get 4, but it's really tight, so 3 has been pretty common. Nice. There's the final hit for ND Shepard. They have not typed in their time yet. I expect to see it any moment, but someone else could have finished and they could be about to type theirs in any moment, and man, I don't know. It's too close to call. We'll just have to wait and see.
So Mollyman apparently is not there, sadly, today, so they're not going to be there. 6th place actually for NG Shepard, so we still have Little Ma, Yugen, and KTH and Quick to go. We'll see where they fall at, and the last one is going to get cut off, sadly, from the next rounds. Second round is going to see only 8 players qualified, and round 3, which is going to be back on Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, only 6 players qualified. So it's a steep curve, to be honest.
It really is. We're moving on to we can take a look at KTH here, who's actually chosen Gemini. This is the 3rd longest of the original stages, and has died here. This is a bold choice. Gemini is one of a couple stages that used to be the first stage for world record runs, so that might have been something that KTH thought, like, oh, there must be a reason. Like, it must be like a relatively easy or fast stage with the Buster. But it was because of the item you get from the stage that made people want to do it. So it's actually a rather difficult and long Buster-only stage. And with this E-Tank, this might be enough to get KTH past the very difficult first phase, but you're in here now. You're in it now. You don't have that E-Tank anymore if you die, so this has to be the successful attempt.
Alright, so no, we're not going to see many more. All the Robot Master. We could set up another event at some point in the remaining weeks of the UD7 with all the players, because it's a very I think it's going to be a very
the laser
format. Yeah,
taking a lot of damage.
Oh no,
it's so hard to
just
avoid.
1 HP.
Oh, he's not dealing enough hits. He needs to be trading at least. The laser bounces from behind and kills KTH. I saw in the menu he might still have an E-Tank. I don't know if there's even 2 E-Tanks of it. He would have used it if he had it, I'm sure. So I don't think he has an E-Tank anymore. That makes this so much harder.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky, and I feel like they did not quite figure out the second phase. Oh, and Quick is not... Whoa, what happened?
Wait, Hard Man, that is the 2nd longest stage. So I don't know what if people did the research even, or they're just like, I don't know, I'll just pick one of these.
Which is a fair point. Like, maybe they did like play casually through the game, and they just like remembered like the layout and just like it being easier. I feel like going for a easier stage, considering your personal feelings, is maybe like a safer bet. But yeah, Ornament is a slow one as well. Oh no, jumping into the laser. Okay, a few hits remaining.
One more.
Trade.
Oh god.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
That was close.
No E-Tank. Didn't need it. Only needed that last grain of rice. Is it enough though? We're gonna see. Kerpupik's gonna come in. KTH is gonna come in. I thought Yuganon had already submitted a time, so these are gonna come in. They're gonna get added.
Ooh,
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, KTH is going to get axed here, and this is a very, very tough and strong player. Like KTH knows their speedruns, and they're one of the few already qualified to the grand finals in UD7. And the decision to go for Gemini Man and Bubble Man did not pay off for them.
All right, so that was a bold move on the first turn. Maybe anticipated there would be other players playing who would not be as fast or something, and you could count on those being eliminated on the first turn. Got caught out for these decisions. We're gonna move on with our top 8, right? Does that mean Capri Quake also,
no,
or are we
it's
keeping 9?
Top 9 and then top
9.
8.
Okay.
Yeah, we do still want 2 players in the finals, round 6. So we are going to see 3 Robot Master per game. So meaning half of Megaman 1, which is probably one of the hardest one as well. So round 3 and round 5 are going to be very, very important for the overall tournament today. But we're going to go and do Megaman 4, 5, and 6. What's your recommendation, considering what we've seen right now?
Well, Mega Man 5, you've got both Star and Gravity that are both about as fast as each other and much faster than any other stage. At least 14 seconds over Charge, which is the next closest, and over 20 over Crystal. So you can count on doing these two in your first and second times through Mega Man 5. But after that, you'll have to take a hit, and if you're really playing to win, maybe you take that hit now, but maybe you expect that whoever's going to be second and playing the last 3 games with you, they also do the fastest 2, and then you'll be equal, so I'm not sure there. Mega Man 4 has 3 bosses that are all pretty close in Pharaoh, Dust, and Dive. If you've practiced them all, it kind of doesn't matter which of the 3 you do, I think, not greatly. Same with Mega Man 6, Wind, Flame, and Blizzard, all pretty close together. So I think that Mega Man 5 decision, when players choose to do something other than Gravity and Star, is going to be important. But again, if you haven't practiced these stages, it doesn't really matter if Dust is just only 4 seconds slower than Pharaoh. If you don't remember what the stage looks like, it's going to be a lot slower than that.
Yeah, it's all the story here, and I think a lot of players are actually going to go for their fastest just to be sure, like they pass the second turn. And the Shepherd is already expecting to be disqualified, so that means if you do expect to be disqualified, there is no way you go for slower bosses, right? There's no reason to save it up for later if you think you're not going to make it. So we are going to have always two ways to think about those races up until the final rounds, round 5 and 6, where there's no saving up for later. So it's going to be pretty interesting. But Pharaoh Man, Toad Man are safe bets for Mega Man 4. If you never played through the Toad Man stage, though, it can be pretty tricky. Skull Man is a pretty easy fight, but a tough and long level. Dust Man and Dive Man, I have no clue how you can make those go so as fast as noted on my spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm trusting on the work of others who compiled the spreadsheet to help people kind of choose what their route should be in the first place. And I wouldn't have thought Dust Dive would be a good option. It's filled with water and spikes, and that generally makes for a difficult time going quickly. But apparently, if you go as fast as possible, it is a good option. I suspect, though, it's going to be one of those stages, kind of like Needleman, where it might be the fastest, but it's because you're optimizing these things all over the place, and getting all those little optimizations is something that is a hard task even for the strongest Mega Man players. So I think choosing to stay away from a water stage filled with instant death spikes is a pretty reasonable decision. So I won't be surprised if we see some Skull. And Toadman, it's really nice to have a boss fight that is a total cakewalk, but the wind and the rain and the water on that stage can be so hard to deal with if you're not used to making those jumps. So that's also pretty scary. I think I like Dust, and I think I like Skull, but it's going to be personal preference more than anything, I think.
Mega Man 4 is probably one of the game with the hardest boss fights. If you don't know them and if you've mastered them, they're pretty easy because the bosses have very few patterns. The Proto-Man fights are not too bad, even if you don't know what you're doing. Apparently Fireman is practicing here for that Stone Man, right? So
I think so.
5. Stone Man is one of the slowest ones, but also one of the easiest, so we'll see. So, nope, that's the wrong one, Fireman. You are going to have to reset and go
now
for...
he's practicing.
practicing
he's thinking, he's like, I'm going to qualify for this one, no problem. I'm worried about the next turn with Mega Man 1. I need to, get down with Fireman stage. So that, or... needs to hurry up and switch games because this countdown is starting. We're off, of course. Stream delay and things are going to be a bit of a factor. And look at that, perfectly synced with Kerpikpik.
I think the countdown started a little bit early, but here we go. Pharaoh-Man for Fireman, Kerpikpik goes for Toadman, Little Mite doesn't go for anything, and Yugen goes for Pharaoh-Man. Alright, 2 Pharaoh-Mans. I like what I'm seeing. I don't I don't know what's happening, I'm sorry.
Go again.
It's time to start. So, Pharaoh-Man, easy one, starts with the quicksand screens. It's not too big of a problem. Plus, if you go for the secret and get the balloon, you are going to regain all your HP. But Yugen is taking a lot of hits there, so I'm a bit scared for them. Apparently, Kerpikpik is resetting and going for Toadman again, and Little Maya hasn't started yet. Alright.
Hopefully everything's okay on the player's end. Yugenon got trolled by the little guy dropping the bombs everywhere. He can very often be putting them right where you're trying to make that really big jump, so... I think probably did not want to come down here, but ended up down here. Is going to get a health refill for their troubles. If they want, they can also grab that E-Tank that we saw on Fireman's screen. That first screen, you can expect to, you can go through with some damage boost and it's not so bad. But if you're trying to go as fast as possible, there's a lot to learn about that first screen on Pharaoh-Man. There's a lot to learn on Toadman stage. Getting used to the speed, the changing speed at which you move in the water or jumping into the wind. It's really easy to just end up in a pit. It's also kind of difficult to see where the platforms start and end. If you focus on the platforms and don't think about the water at all, you can really start to visualize it. But you don't get to see your feet on the ground, so you can feel definitely a little uncertain trying to make these jumps.
Certainly, the water can get you caught or the knockbacks, but Kerpikpik did get to the checkpoint. I think it's here and should be able to move on. Those snails are pretty hard to deal with. You have to be able to mash pretty quickly if you do want to kill them. Meanwhile, Molgames, Fireman, and Yugenon are already... Yugenon is at the checkpoint, my bad. The Fireman and Molgames are already at the boss fight here. Fireman is pretty straightforward if you do stay close to the boss.
That's what manipulates that charge attack. That's what you want to see. It's pretty easy to jump over it, or in some cases, slide under it if you're caught with him on that middle step. That's one of the worst places that you can be while doing this. Fireman is too far away here, so he gets this pattern where Pharaoh-Man jumps at you and starts throwing projectiles. It's incredibly hard to deal with, and again, jumped away from him, so he couldn't manipulate the charge attack, and then jump towards again. That's going to finish him off. He's going to have to try this again. Molgames has finished and is moving on to Mega Man 5, and Kerpikpik struggling with Toadman there, has died to the snail. I think that was for the second time.
I did not see them die. I'm not sure. Molgames is going for Gravity Man once again. One of the fastest probably. Yeah, actually Starman is 1 second slower according to a little spreadsheet here. The Gravity Man is a stage the players do go for in detail. Oh, and Molgames falls short here and get killed by the spikes. This is a surprising one. Are the players getting a bit, worried with the fact that it's you do get disqualified, eliminated if you don't make it fast enough? The mistakes the players are making are a little bit surprising, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They might be juggling a lot of thoughts in their mind, wondering what other stages everyone else is doing. What should I do? In this situation, Kerpikpik does not have enough invincibility frames to get off of those spikes after getting knocked down by a fish. I think, it's not a game over. I thought it was. Definitely must be concerned about the game over. Has to refight that difficult snail boss. I'm also pretty concerned that Molgames reset after that death. had to go through the title screen and choosing the Robot Master again. That's a straight up time loss. And the advantage there is that you have an extra life. So it shows that Mogames is thinking like, I might need that extra life. I might die 2 more times in this stage. So they're clearly not feeling all that confident about Gravity Man.
Yeah, and it's surprising because Molgam is pretty good at those games. Like he's been on our radar for a long time, and their PB at killing 10 Robot Master is 23-11. That's pretty good, meaning that they can kill the Gravity Man just without dying for sure. And Yuganan is not charging their Buster here, costing them a little bit of time, but they do have an okay time with the boss. Switching from games to games can get you caught if you don't remember all these gimmicks, and charging your Buster is very, very important in Megaman 4 boss fights.
Yeah, it does so much more damage than just using the little pellets. I understand the hesitance in using it because it is so weird. By the way, take a look at the Toadman fight. Very, very difficult fight here is Toadman. This is the reason why you might consider doing this despite the stage being so difficult. Charging your Buster is difficult. Getting as precise with your jumps, with your slides, while holding down another button, especially if you're the kind of player who uses their thumb to hit both. You're now forced to press jump with the bottom part of your thumb while holding the tip down on the B button. It's uncomfortable. I find myself much less precise with my movement while charging, so I understand the hesitance in using it. Very close call with Fireman, gets the kill on Gravity, moving on to Mega Man 6. But charging the Buster is just way too good against bosses. Even if it's uncomfortable, you have to learn it or you're going to lose a ton of time.
Oh no, Yuganan got a game over and starts Fireman all over again. Meanwhile, Mogames is going for Windman. So Mogames goes for the I don't want to be a disqualified strat and just go for the fastest on every single level here, on every single game. But that means that turn 4 is going to be very tough for them, maybe falling short of the players that did go for at least one of the slower games. It's going to be interesting to see how far they make it now. Quick as well is going for Starman, one of the faster levels in from Mega Man 5, and Windman has killed a lot of players in that very specific screen where Mogames is, but they make it nicely.
Right, it's certainly a big advantage to do one of the fastest stages, as well as a stage that you're well practiced in. But it's still very dangerous, especially this section with Fireman here. He wants to absolutely kill that turret. He doesn't want it to be a problem, so he jumped onto the fan several times there until he finally found the rhythm and the height that he wanted coming off of that thing in order to kill that enemy. He's trailing a little bit behind Mogames, who is going to be grabbing the extra life and the extra health. Fireman could maybe benefit from these things as well. So we'll see if he's feeling bold enough to skip them. And no, he is not. So everyone is feeling at least a little skittish today.
I don't know. Is it because it's Monday? But it's maybe it's not just because they're not in the flow of things. Like naturally they would go for all 10 bosses, be in a run with a timer. It matters like in the grand scheme of things. Here is just to play against the players you don't even know if they're doing the same levels as you. Meanwhile, Devil Tifa is going for Flame Man. It's not a level that they usually do in the category, but it's still a pretty fast one. The only biggest problem with that level is Flame Man plus itself, plus the corridor right before the boss with a ton of death traps. We're going to see how well it goes for them.
Quick managing the most difficult jump in Mega Man 5, the jump in Starman stage over the spikes. You have to use the low gravity to clear the gap just barely without touching the spikes on the ceiling either. We got a pair of Windman fights here from Mogames and Fireman, nicely synced up. Mogames a little bit ahead here, getting a charge shot, and is going to be able to finish off with a last point-blank charge shot there. Fireman is going to be a little bit behind, but I think is probably in a good position. Oh my goodness, got sucked in, got a little bit too bold. And now look, we know Devil Tifa is most of the way through Flame Man stage. You got to start wondering, where are these other players who are off stream right now?
Mulligamis did finish first, and maybe you don't feel too happy about that first place here, because that means that you've burned a lot of your better levels, better cards too early. I'm not sure. Devil Defy taking their time here. This is the final section into the level, and everybody is trying to push you into those flames that kill you instantly. When the petroleum is burning, it's just like spikes.
Yeah, instant death if you touch that stuff, and it's very likely going to get lit on fire. The only way to stop it is, no, even if you get hit by the fire, I'm pretty sure it still keeps going. So, thankfully, fell down on had the lower platform there to catch them, even if they did get knocked off. You can be smart about where you take damage in Flame Man stage in order to minimize your chances of getting caught by that instant death flame. Capriquik is in Starman here and is very low on health, so this is a fight that is it's very easy to manage until all of a sudden you're too far away and Starman does a really low jump, comes crashing in on you, puts you in a really bad position. So as long as you keep this fight under control, I think Capriquik is going to be okay. Yugonon finally conquering Pharaohman as well. Capriquik done with Mega Man 5, moving on to 6.
Devil Defy is taking a lot of damage, but so is Flame Man. The DPS race is on. Oh, going for the E-Tank. They do have one. That was very, very close call, but Devil Defy should be safe. They went through most of Flame Man's HP. And yeah, if the patterns are nice enough, they should not die.
Andy Shepard done now as well. Chose Blizzard Man as their 6th. So they have, still Windman in the chamber, I think, is something that they know very well. That'll be nice. If they last all the way to the next turn, they're already done here, so they're going to be at least moving on to our 3rd turn, featuring Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 again. Little Mai is up here on stage with Mr. X, I think, is Mega Man 6, so I think we might be at the start of Mega Man 6, or they're already done and we're too late to catch their run. But we certainly have Capriquik starting. Blizzard Man and Yugonon, the backhand of Mega Man extends when he jumps, touches the spikes. That's a death, and that is pretty far away. Did not get the checkpoint, so this is gonna have to start from the beginning of the stage. That's a bad one to take.
Yeah, it's very close between Capriquik and Yugonon. I think those are the two remaining. Maybe with still Vandal running, so it's hard to tell, but one of those two might get eliminated there. And you want to stay in. At least have your decision making on Mega Man 1 through 3 earlier actually matters. Like you maybe you went for some harder bosses and you want that to have done some things for you, giving you an edge.
Down to 1 health. Oh no. The checkpoint is just past this little octopus boss, so that is a really, really bad death to take. Yugonon has now hit the checkpoint in Starman stage, so is pretty happy about that, I'm sure, but does have to worry about this jump. You can take a hit off of the Met and get the invincibility frames, and doesn't really know about that strat, it seems, because they were in a perfect position to do exactly that, and instead headed to the left to try to kill the enemies. But then they didn't quite clear the jump. It's a tough jump. Yugonon at least has 1 more life, I'm pretty sure, but is pretty close to the game over now.
Yugonon, with those very difficult jumps, plus the Mets are going to get on top of you, and you cannot kill them if they are exactly on you. So sometimes those guys can be pretty annoying, but making it through very nicely. Capriquik is just going full ham, taking the death intentionally here, I guess, to refill their HP. That was the checkpoint, right? Yeah, okay. So they're nice, safe, and onto that semi-auto scroller. You want to not get crushed by those spikes. Those can be pretty scary, so Capriquik is going to go slowly and safely, but still they want to hurry up because the timer is ticking, and the slower runner is going to get eliminated there. Oh, and dies on the spikes. That one hurts.
Yeah, this submarine is pretty. Oh, it is the game over as well. Big setback late in Mega Man 6. So Yugonon coming to the end of Starman stage here in Mega Man 5. If they, get this down on the first shot here, they're going to be pretty close to Capriquik. Still a fair ways back, but once something really bad like that happens, it definitely shakes me up and makes me a lot more likely for something else bad to happen. So we'll see if Capriqui can, oh my goodness, hold on, come back strong here and maintain their lead. Because if they don't, Yugonon is right there, ready to come knocking. I think they're probably still on their last life, and they don't have full health here. So we'll see if they can do what we saw earlier from, I think it was Little Mai on Starman stage here, and gets hit on the very first start of the fight here. So, all right. Now that Starman's throwing the shield here and doing these high jumps, this is the patterns that you're really looking for on this fight.
Oh, wow, okay, that barely passed above Megaman. Yugonon is taking a lot of hits, and they're slowly losing the DPS race here. Lil Might, quick, taking the intentional death here at the checkpoint, and he's going to go for some more of that platforming here, but I do keep my eyes on Yugonon. Losing barely the DPS race. Okay, they pulled ahead and killed Starman with a nice set of patterns here. Meanwhile, Capriqui is taking a lot of damage and having some nice iframes to help them, but this is a bit scary.
Goes for the all the way through the spikes. There is the fastest possible cycle on this stage. I think you kind of need the Flame Man weapon in order to really pull off the true strat, but once you get the quick cycle on that submarine, it's said that you're smooth like butter. So they call that trick butter. Sadly, not able to do it without that Flame Man. So I don't know. We need it's like margarine or something. If you get the fastest buster only strategy, perhaps.
No!
Capriqui went for the fastest strat on the bombs. Got hit. Did not get onto the ledge below his back. Has to do the submarine again. Still ahead of Yugonon, but not by much.
So Capriqui apparently went for one of the hardest bosses on Megaman 3, so has way easier turn around next up here, but they do have to beat Yugonon on that race in the quest to kill Blizzardman. Meanwhile, Yugonon is on a faster level and maybe knows a little bit about it, but Yugonon is not so much experienced as Capriqui or the other runners on the category. They've joined UD7, I think, a little bit more for fun other than competition, and it's the hardest screen, probably the screen that killed most runners on Windman is that one with the turbines and the enemies trying to kill you, and Capriqui indeed gets to Blizzardman first. Blizzardman is one of the easiest bosses of Megaman 6. If you do know the patterns, they should not kill you.
Yeah, you know Capriqui knows this fight when they're on the left wall, jumping over the snowball as it bounces. That's pretty unintuitive rather. If you had just tried to do this fight kind of blind, you would probably assume being right next to the boss here against the wall is a bad place to be, but because the boss always bounces off, it's actually one of the best places to be. So is getting hit by a lot of these attacks, though, needs to be a little bit more careful with their timing. And the snowflakes are very hard to dodge while you're in the corner, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a transition away from the corner, but it doesn't come in time. Capriqui dies, and now this is another game over. We have a lead change. Yugonon currently a couple screens ahead of Capriqui, but is in a really awkward position here in Windman stage, is finally moving on.
They will make it. Oh no! Checkpoint! I was about to say. Okay. And actually, Capriqui resets and goes for Windman here. So they do decide if they want to make it. They absolutely have to go for the fastest level ever, and they will actually try a little bit Yugonon right off the bat, and they will try to make it as fast as possible. But now it's the race is on, but the experience Capriqui has on the stage here should make it smooth sailing for them. We'll see though, and lots of deaths, and the category is harder than I expected.
Yeah, Capriqui has the advantage here for sure, and skill level has a really good time posted on this game with Windman as in the part of their route. Yugonon, I don't think has a time at all for Megaman, is not one of their focuses for this season. So, obviously a huge advantage for Capriqui there, but Capriqui has just game over twice, so must be feeling at least a little bit bad here. We'll see if that was just because they're so unfamiliar with Blizzardman's stage, or if it's something closer to like a shaken mental state, which is definitely something that Yugonon is probably worrying about a little bit. Game over is here, but was kind of back to the start of the stage anyway. So the fact that it is game over is not too much of a concern, but it's still a death. It's still getting sent all the way back, and they are definitely running out of time here.
Players are in the race chat, planning their upcoming races and asking for advices, which is pretty interesting and pretty funny, because this is the most unprepared and most fun race we've seen in a while. A lot of the players recently in UD7 have gotten so good. We've barely had any surprises, very few deaths, especially in Megaman 1 through 6. The category is pretty interesting, but once the routing and the experience came in, the players got very consistent. Here it's you have to take decisions and understand the meta game and what the other players are doing if you want to succeed. Quick is being pretty lucky, to be honest, because Yugonon has had a lot of deaths they could have avoided and actually defeated Quick. But here we go. Yugonon is going to be our final player, is going to try to go through the Windman stage, but we do know already that they're eliminated.
Yes, this is going to be our 9th place finish here. With, like you said, we, Quick getting away with something a little bit there. In that position, they could have maybe kept going with Blizzard Man so that they don't have to do Blizzard Man later. But I don't know if they were keeping an eye on Yugonon and knew the situation. They might be like, I got a pretty good chance of Yugonon not completing the stage first try. Maybe I could go for it. It's really hard. It's hard enough to focus and make all these decisions without trying to keep track of like 7 other players and where they are on their streams. So definitely, as cool as it would be to be making such calculated decisions based off the information you get from everyone else, it's just too much to handle on top of actually speedrunning a stage. So most players don't do it, and it does mean a little bit of an opportunity lost for Quick. Is going to have to return to Blizzard Man stage if they want to win this thing, and it's going to be against stiffer competition than Yugonon.
Yeah, next turn we are going back to Megaman 1 through Megaman 3, and you have to play 3 different and new Robot Masters. So we've seen a fair bit of Gutsman, a little bit of Flashman, some only Topman, except for Quick. Apparently they went for the one of the harder Robot Masters there. We've seen a lot of different things in Megaman 2, so I guess this is the time you want to put in Flashman if you still have that lying around, because only 6 players will make it to rounds 4 here.
I'll be very curious to see what we see from Megaman 1 in particular. So many players burned guts there, so we're going to see players doing something they're probably quite unfamiliar with, and it does mean that, like, I'm wondering about Devil Tifa did not do guts first in the first time we played Mega Man 1, so has that card to play? Did they play it now, or did they think, no, I got this, I can win this round, I can win the next round, and on the final round I will play guts, and it will be a huge advantage there, and will kind of guarantee me to get to the final 2. It would be a little bit cheeky, but it's something they could do. We can see Fireman is practicing Shadow Man here. Little Mai is practicing Bomb Man. So we're going to see all kinds of new stuff.
Yeah, this is one of the turn 4, 3, and 4 here are the most important one in my opinion. But they do depend on what you've done on the first turn. And if you wanted to be like safe and confident, you maybe went for Gutsman. But now you have to do something a little bit harder. So we'll see. And the Shepherd is super not confident. Apparently, he says in chat that once again this is going to be their final turn. Ash Lambert we haven't seen, but they finished first in the first race, so I guess they went for Gutsman, maybe Flashman, and probably Topman. So now they have a very difficult turn awaiting.
Yeah, this is. I have tried my best to keep track of which players chose which Robot Masters, so I could try to think through what their options were and what makes, what sort of strategic decisions are they making. But I've probably long since forgotten just about everything. Of course, the players will not abuse that and do the same stage twice. Someone will notice.
Yeah,
I'm sure,
we'll notice. Devil Defy went for Cutman, and Flashman, and then Topman, I think. They had to go for... oh no, they went for Bombman, my bad. So Cutman and Gutsman remaining. Ash Lambert Vandal probably went for the faster ones. Fireman, I don't know. It's going to be fun to see. Anyway, everything is streamed, so do not worry. Nobody is going to cheat, obviously. Fireman is going for Fireman. Nice. This is the first time we are seeing Fireman in a UD7 stream. Everybody else is going for Cutman. Very nice level, to be honest. It's a good choice between fast and safe.
Yeah, this is the fourth fastest, but it's very close, almost tied with Fire. At third, Bomb a little bit faster, but Bomb had those instant death spikes that got Devil Tifa. We're seeing Fireman in Fireman stage. I love the on-brand name choices, very, very nice. But it has instant death fire all over the place. No such thing in Cupman. However, Cupman is an extremely difficult stage to optimize. You have a lot of ladders. You want to be jumping at the tops of ladders because Mega Man takes a little bit to get up to full speed, and if you jump, you immediately start moving at full speed. So it means you're waiting for Mega Man to reach the top of the ladder to do that jump input too early, and Mega Man drops off the ladder. So you've got that. You've got these one-tile jumps here up on the ladder. Devil Tifa is trying to get set up for. These are incredibly difficult. That was actually fairly well done, despite sitting there for a little bit. It's a very, very tough stage to do perfectly.
It's incredibly hard to go fast through Cutman. It's maybe the level that requires the most of a tutorial just to do almost normally. Lots of enemies on your ways, lots of difficult jumps, and plus you have some tricks and warping around the screen to go even faster with the ladder. So if the players have practiced that, you can go for it, but it is pretty difficult. No item to zip through Fireman stage. Fireman has to go for the level normally and cannot freeze those rays either. So this is very tight. It's impossible to go. It
seems
those.
Impossible.
I think it is. Like there's no way you can make it. Maybe like it's frame perfect or something, but it feels like you should not do Fireman without any other item.
Yeah, no rush coil, and you do have that magnet beam in Elecman stage, but you can't grab it from there and carry it over here as per the category rules. Ash Lambert, very, very low on health after getting hit by the big eye. He has to be even a little bit concerned about this turret on the ceiling here. You can kill it from afar, or you can wait. Is waiting here. You can also run past it and then wait for a kind of an alternative between the two. Cutman, it's very possible to beat Cutman without getting hit. We'll see. Devil Tifa is going to have the first shot at it, immediately gets hit. So, it's not so easy to do that, but it is more doable than many other Mega Man boss. Oh, the jump on top. Ash Lambert was not ready for it, is going to die. Reset here, back to the boss corridor. Going to drop a little bit behind Andy Shepard and Devil Tifa, who just got the final hit.
Nice. So as soon as the boss explodes, you can go and do a Bubble Man apparently for Devil Tifa. So get ready for the stream to get a little bit hectic on their screen. And meanwhile, Fireman has died and is back when they died. So they did not lose so much, but now they have to hurry up because we are going to eliminate two runners here.
Okay.
Nice.
So, using the select glitch there, it's not so useful with the Buster because your projectile gets eaten up every time it hits a Robot Master, but you can fire multiple shots and use the select glitch to have each of them make contact with the boss, and it was absolutely necessary for Andy Shepard because Cutman was about to hit him and hit him, take away his last little bit of life, which is a similar situation Fireman is in. That's not health at the top of that ladder, so it's not going to bail him out here. But the fire is descending. He's going to hit the checkpoint outside the boss corridor here. I'm certain he is okay in there. Even if he dies now, he did die once already, and he is going to die again. He should have an extra life to finish this off, though.
I think we can award the prize of the worst decision-making I have ever seen to Andy Shepard, going for Woodman first and then Airman second. Those are very difficult and long stages. You still have a Metalman, Bebbleman, Flashman, Quickman to go through, and you do decide to go for some of the longer ones. It's for fun, and if they want to practice some of the stages or just do stuff they don't normally do, I understand, but still, it's pretty funny. Fireman abusing quite heavily the glitches. Fireman is not such a scary boss compared to some of the others. Plus, with the select glitch, it's no prime whatsoever. So Fireman is going to go, and I would go for Flashman, yeah, if they did not do that earlier. And indeed, they still have it left around. Fireman got 7 minutes and 3 seconds, 6th place on the first turn, so I'm not sure, but obviously did not go full Flashman.
I do 4 Robot Masters from Mega Man 2. None of them are wood, none of them are air, so pretty crazy to see Andy Shepard doing. Both of them is on the second half of the stage now, damage boosting off of these drills. You can go quite fast through Airman stage, doing some pixel perfect jumps on the edges of those platforms near the drills. It's so crazy and precise and punishing if you mess up that pretty much only Metalo does it. But with good reason, because Metalo's consistency is sky high. Ash Lambert here has defeated Metal Man, is going to be moving on to Mega Man 3. Devil Tifa has chosen Gemini for their turn, and the second time around here through the first 3 games. Gemini Man, we saw this be kind of the end of KTH. This was a big problem for them and knocked them out very early. So we'll see. Devil Tifa is on the first screen here. Very long, very difficult. Is having to pause to deal with a lot of these enemies. Whereas Ash Lambert has taken off into Sparkman stage, which is pretty fast and also not nearly as dangerous.
Yeah, a Bob Patch saying that Airman is not as hard as it seems. The level taken slow is pretty easy, but if you do want to make it worth your time, you have to take some pretty intense risk to go fast through the stage. But yeah, if you do take it slow, it's not the hardest stage in the Mega Man history, but still a lot of pits and traps. You can just die right away. But the boss went very, very quickly, and Andy Shepard is on par with Fireman. Oh, and Ash Lambert Vandal dies here in Sparkman. Fireman taking their time to decide and going for Shadow Man, as well as Andy Shepard, actually. This is a tough stage and a tough boss fight.
Yeah, this is if the Slashman or Shadow Man has these slides that just come out so fast that are very hard to deal with, and the stage itself is fairly manageable until you get to the end. There are these parachuters who come down in between these gaps in the floor, and the two of them combined are so difficult to deal with. Magnet Man's weapon helps out a lot in that situation, but we're Buster only, so expect to see the players play very carefully through that section. It's also it's right before the boss, so it's very far away from a checkpoint and very punishing if you die. Devil Tifa has been in Gemini Man stage for a while and is only really kind of at the halfway point here. A bit further than that. Still has to go through what is maybe the hardest part of the stage. Wants to refill on health beforehand, but all the health in the world won't save you from the instant death that awaits you at the bottom of the screen all the way along. You don't have Rush Marine to help you out here either, and the screen starts to lag a whole lot with the dragonflies and the missiles and the guys below. He's down here and he has Rush Coil, so he is going to be able to get out.
Totally forgot about the platform here. Actually, I thought they died, but they were okay. Fireman got bullied by Proto Man and decided to reset and go for Magnet Man, which is a faster and safer level maybe, but they still have to hurry up quite a bit. Everybody is still on Mega Man 3 here, and nobody has finished yet.
Vandal is chewing through the dust blocks, zips on top of it, and then out on the back side. This is annoying. You don't have a strong weapon to chew through these blocks. All right, it's going to zip through with the damage boost and is going to get through this one, and then probably, it has gotten through these blocks. There was some trouble there, but they're very low on health. Unlikely to get through the boss fight. You take a lot of hits from Sparkman. He fills the screen with projectiles. You kind of count on taking some damage. This death here is certainly going to set Vandal back quite a ways. Devil Tifa has died as well. Did not choose to use the E-Tank on that attempt, so they are respecting this boss fight in Gemini Man.
Yeah, and now they are full HP. Oh no, and Shepard getting pushed right before the boss. That hurts. The section is pretty long, and they at the end here set them back quite a bit. Meanwhile, Ash Lambert is still... Oh no, dies! Devil Tifa is struggling against Gemini Man here. Almost has no HP left. Got into the swing of things quite a bit, and he's dealing some damage through the first phase, and done, and only 1 HP. Uses one of their 2 E-tanks.
Okay. In it now. We'll see if they can close out this first phase here. It is probably more manageable than the first phase.
Nice.
I like the way they're playing here. This bodes really well for them. Andy Shepard returning to this very difficult stage. Vandal did indeed game over right before Sparkman. Devil Tifa has finished. The first to finish on stream, actually. Megaman 3, they're going to do it. They're definitely going to advance to the next turn. Fireman about a little past the halfway point in Magdaman stage. This is the most dangerous part here and has passed the Yoku block section. Boss fight now for Andy Shepard.
All right, Shadowman is a tough boss. They're going to do a ton of contact damage. Their attack comes fast and furious, and yeah, that slide is so quick to rush at you. And I don't know, it takes about 25% of your health. It's brutal, and I don't know. I don't know how you beat the bosses in Megaman 3 without the correct weapon. Everything deals so much damage. It's not
fair.
Yeah, it's about 25% of your health. 4 slides and you're dead. I don't even know if Andy Shepard has any E-tanks.
Is jumping over those slides gets caught on the way up afterwards, because of course he jumps up to catch you afterwards. Molgames did finish Mega Man 3, I believe. They are now done. We didn't get to see too much of them. I think it was Magnet that they did last. Magnet Fireman is in there as well. Is equal on life here. If you really want to go fast, you can get hit on Magdaman on that attack there to cancel it. As you can see, it does take a long time, so canceling it is advantageous. But you do take a bunch of damage doing it, so if you're not feeling so comfortable, pretty common to see players let that attack play out. Is not getting a lot of damage in on the transitions between attacks here, which is your best time to get hits in. It's tough because he's jumping, but you can get as many as 3 hits as he moves across the screen. Vandal now into Spark. Has some health here, is probably going to take some more. Now is playing very defensively all the way on the other side of the screen. Doesn't get any damage while taking that hit, though. No. That's the situation you're really trying to avoid. If you're going to get hit, you want it to be because you're playing aggressive and getting extra hits in return. Oh boy. Oh boy. How do we get out of this one? Go, go, go. Oh, he's not. He's just hopping.
Nice. Oh, nice dodges.
Magnaman as well for Fireman. Did end up dying.
That's pretty good.
Second try now. Vandal is, you don't have that charge buster. You need to get every single one of these hits.
Yes.
That's going to do it.
All right. Very well done. Nice dodges in the end. Molgames is practicing Toadman, but don't be confused. This is Megaman 4. It's upcoming right at the end of that race. And Fireman is trying to dodge all those attacks, but doesn't deal enough in between phases, sadly. And it's not going to allow them to win the DPS race. Apparently, those jumping bosses are pretty annoying, because if you don't time your shots perfectly, it feels like you cannot hit them. If you're for their life, okay. Magnetman is jumping away, and they did not deal any damage in the last 4 phases, and this is so slow going. It is very, very scary.
Yeah, Magdaman always does a little jump and then a big jump. So if you've practiced, probably is the only way to really get consistent at it. You can plan your shots to be at the correct height to hit him at the correct time. Boom, boom, boom as he moves across. But without practice, just trying to eyeball it is incredibly difficult. He moves pretty fast. He jumps pretty high. The height varies on each of the jumps. So factoring in his speed versus the speed of your bullet, very difficult to time out. But he is not getting hit, so it's one of those Dark Souls approaches where you're just kind of dodging all the boss's attacks and getting little hits here and there. As long as you don't get hit, you will eventually beat that boss.
Yeah, surviving is key. There's no draw. One is going to succeed and the other is going to die. And Fireman is winning the DPS race, but okay, that's nice. And I think everybody's done. We still have Andy Shepard to go, and maybe Chicken is still running. Yeah, Chicken is not done either. So Chicken and Andy Shepard are going to get axed, and sadly, they were a little bit too slow to make it to the next round.
We're going to try to see if they can at least finish off Magnet here. They got banged up pretty good, and now they have to do the Yoku blocks over a pit. And yeah, that one didn't quite go their way. You do have to deal with the magnet pulling you at least a little bit on this second one, you can kind of skip the magnets being a factor if you take a clever route on the blocks for the first and third areas here, but for that one over the pit, you do have to deal with it at least a little bit. So they can jump straight up there, but they didn't quite realize it, and they jumped at it like, maybe can I do this? Can I not? They turned back, but you can indeed make that jump and get out of here. Whoa, nice! You do zip. It's not so easy to zip in Mega Man games without any extra items to get you into ceilings and things, but you can zip pretty easily off of these Yoku blocks. And we do have Jaikin on stream now.
Nice. And they're right at the start of the stage. I guess something went terribly wrong for them, sadly. And Proto Man here is bullying the players. Like, it shows that some players haven't practiced so much of those later levels. Other levels than what they're in the routes for the UD category. And still, some players are doing fantastic, by the way. And so far, it's going okay for Jiken. Andy Shepard is stuck on those Yoku block and has been stuck for quite a while. If you don't know what you're doing, those can feel like almost impossible because you're pulled by the magnet, and it's very hard to be precise on those jumps.
Yeah, it's trying to jump at this block from behind here. You move so slowly trying to come at the block from this direction that this is just giving them trouble in all kinds of ways here. I'm not really sure what the best approach is. You could jump on the block on the left side and then jump over to the right, and that should probably time out nicely for another jump straight up. But you gotta figure out what works, and this is basically Andy Shepard figuring out what works. I'm not sure if this is fast forwarding on the emulator or if this is like a weird stream catching up from a buffer or something, but I think Andy Shepard maybe knows that it's all over for them, perhaps. Jaikin, however, does have a shot at finishing the stage here, moving on to the boss corridor with plenty of health.
Magnet Man took a while for Fireman. Fireman actually got super surprised they made it in top 6. Oh, nice. That seems intentional, taking a hit here to get a faster attack and faster patterns. Jiken getting some nice hits every phases. Oops, went for... Once again, it feels like that was intentional, but I'm actually not sure. It's so weird to actually have to take a phase damage to get a faster pattern, and sadly dies. I'm going to get a rematch here. Jiken staying strong, going for the kill.
Just got clipped a little bit. Is doing a really good job of landing hits each phase, so is not going to have that really long, drawn-out fight, which is an advantage in that you have to do less dodging. However, their dodging is not on point here, so they do need to tighten that up just a little bit if they want to survive long enough to deal the damage they need. I do like the oh my goodness, just getting so close, not getting any damage, and then getting hit afterwards. Is down to the last hit, and just a little bit too close, clipped by Megaman. Do they have the extra life? They do.
Final try, probably. Taking a hit. Each phase, you can get a couple of hits. Yeah, getting 2 here is pretty good.
It seems like they're a little bit unfamiliar with the heights that Megaman jumps at. It's always a slow and then a low rather, and then a high jump. So you want to be a little bit away to cross under him on the high jump. Got caught a number of times there trying to go under the low jump. They seem to have kind of picked up on that here, but I don't think it's gonna. Wow, if they had the magnet attack there, that could have been a big problem in the corner. And again, they're so risky waiting on the far side there, but it's working out.
Wow. Okay, Magnet Man is being very generous with their patterns.
Oh, no! The luck runs out.
Yeah.
That is the game over. Did not pick up the extra life somewhere in this stage, so we will say goodbye to Jaikin as well as Andy Shepard. Eliminated on this turn, we are down to 6. Little Mai, Devil Tifa, Mulgames, Kerpuik, Vandal, and Fireman.
Alright, 4 will remain after the next turn. We are going to play through Megaman 4, 5, and 6. Lots of players have gone for Pharaoh Man, Gravity, or Star. and Wind, Flame, or Blizzard. So we are going to see some interesting stuff. We've seen a little bit of Toadman. I think Andy Shepard did. So maybe they're all going for Pharaoh Man, but we are going to have the players take some very interesting decision, because if you do make it to the final 2 players will have to play another level of Mega Man 4, and if you do have played through Pharaoh Man and Toadman, what do you take as a third option? So the decision here is going to be interesting. Dustman, Diveman are pretty fast, as well as Skullman. Lots of different options. As long as you do survive and make it without dying, any bosses actually is pretty okay.
But yeah, it's going to come down to, did players actively plan ahead of time and do a little practicing, or are they just doing whatever they remember from the last time they played the game, which could be anything. So it's quite impossible to guess where the players are going to end up. We've seen players perfectly willing to do very slow stages, like Stone Man, Toad's pretty slow. We saw Hard. We saw Gemini, we saw Wood, so the fastest stage is definitely not necessarily the only thing that players are concerned about in their choices. Given that whatever you don't do here is something you will do in the finals when you're down to the last 2. If you see someone who's not going all out doing their fastest stage, it means that they think they have a shot at getting to the finals, to be the final 2, and they want to be a little bit faster. So you get a little bit of insight into what they're thinking if you see someone holding back this late in. I don't think anyone will. I think everyone's been pretty willing to admit that they're not at their best today, and they're in unfamiliar territory, and a lot of players have been retreating to what they know.
Yeah, this is very difficult category, and very interesting. I would love to see some of the super experienced runners on all the 6 games, but I don't even know if that actually exists at that point. But the decision and the mind games going on make it that you are, I don't know, shaky about the way you play. It's hard to go full ham as fast as you can, confidently, and I don't know. But yeah, for sure, we are going to see either Pharaoh Man, if that's remaining as an option for you, and maybe Toadman or Skullman, I would say.
I would expect to see some Toad and some Skull. It's just so tempting to have a boss fight you don't have to think about at all in Toadman. In Skull, I think is... I don't know, it's just something about it. It seems like a pretty straightforward stage that doesn't have a lot that can really trip people up. Sure enough, we are seeing Skull, Toad, and what are we going to see from Molgames? They're heading up to Dive? No, they don't know.
Toad, here we go.
They were looking for the boss on the menu, didn't quite know where it was, eventually got there. So we're split, 50-50, Skull and Toad.
Yep, so I guess everybody, all those 4 players went for Man as a first option. So, yeah, that means that whoever gets qualified for the final will have the other option in Toad or Skull. Skull is easier as a stage, I would say. There's way less way of dying in one hit, lots of options, a lot of enemies to kill, but you should not die at all by going the wrong way here. All those are going to happen quite a bit. The players are probably super not experience with the level at all, I would expect.
Yeah, this has been a pretty good show actually by Devil Tifa. Despite getting lost a little bit, is showing a lot of confidence, like, doing a lot of slides and stuff. You can feel kind of vulnerable when you're sliding, going too fast, not sure what's about to scroll onto screen and be a problem for you. So you have to be at least pretty confident and pretty comfortable moving to be throwing in these slides in an unfamiliar situation. Devil Tifa knows about the E-Tank here, is going to go ahead and grab that and then come back up the ladder. So really nice heads-up play there, and that will give them a huge advantage in the boss fight. We'll see if Fireman was thinking about doing the same. No, they are going to go and get the ladder. We got the snail fights here in Toadman, which is pretty difficult. I think, Ash is coming to it now, and Molgames dropping just a little bit behind, very close on the left side of the screen there.
The Ultime is health is dropping quite a bit. I'm going to have to play safe on the second half of the stage here. After checkpoint, the background goes full red, and here you have the opportunity to die in one hit if you don't kill those enemies, but Devil Tifa is taking it very slow and very safe, and that is probably the exact way you want to tackle that very specific level. Meanwhile, Ash and Molgamis are almost done with Toadman, but Ash dies on right at the end here on those spikes that tripped some players earlier as well.
Molgames also coming to this section. That platform is pretty close to your head, so you need to be pretty careful about bonking it. But Molgames does get through there, is past the hard stuff, and is now at the boss door, so pretty far ahead of Vandal and indeed Fireman, but not Devil Tifa, who is going toe-to-toe with Skullman here. Skullman has the Skull Shield and moves really fast, actually, kind of alarmingly fast when he decides to move. But Devil Tifa did have that E-Tank, so it's going to be able to use the charge shots here. One more to finish him off. Is currently ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, Fireman died and is going for the E-Tank now and has to go through the entire stage again. Ash Lambert dies again, and it's Molgames that's going to kill the boss. First, Toadman is really... Oh, he's going to jump on you. Oh, that's bad. All right.
Okay.
Still easy. That's a bit scary. Devil Tifa is going for Starman. Maybe went for Gravity Man as a first Mega Man 5 boss. Maybe went for something harder because Gravity Man and Starman are the two easier stages and faster stages. We've seen a little bit of Stone Man earlier, and Crystal Man is an option, but very difficult. So I don't know what to expect, since we didn't see exactly the full run from everybody else. But Devil Tifa is going to have a nice and safe option here. Fireman still on Skullman, and Molgames go for Starman as well.
If Devil Tifa knew that both Vandal and Fireman were both having some trouble here with Mega Man 4, they might have felt comfortable throwing in one of those other stages that isn't Star or Gravity, but again, it's so tough to keep track of where everyone is, so is missing a bit of an opportunity, I think. Is doing very well, took a death after the checkpoint, I think probably to refill health, and is moving on through past the halfway point now in Starman stage. Ash Lambert has finally made it into the boss fight, so this is going to be pretty straightforward finish here on Toadman, getting in those half-charge shots. Don't actually do extra damage unless you get full charge, and you want to make sure that you're keeping up the hits on Toadman to interrupt his attacks, so not going to see any fully charged Buster, unfortunately. Devil Tifa now jumping on some of these platforms, and Fireman is finally getting to the back half of Skullman here.
Alright, Devil Tifa passing the final enemy on Starman. That jump always gets me a little bit, but if you do know how to accurately adjust your height with the low gravity, you will make it nicely. And Molgames is the half of the stage here, final section against those Mets that are trying to get on top of you, so they're going to kill you. Fireman is taking a lot of damage. I don't know if they still have their E-Tank, but it's time to use it. Apparently they don't, and they have to go all the way through Skullman with only one full HP
Oh, they do have an
They
E-Tank.
do have one. Oh, that's...
So they just wanted to get a feel for the, what the boss is, at least get an idea of their patterns, and then probably try to go all in on their final attempt. I didn't catch how many lives they have when they were in that menu, though, so I'm not sure if there is their final attempt or not. But it's hard to deal with Skullman because he moves so quickly along the ground, and there's like an awkward pause after the shield before he finally moves. Looks like, yeah, this is the final attempt here, and this E-Tank is coming in very quick into the start of the fight, so Fireman needs to adjust and figure out how to not get hit in this fight if he wants to finish. Oh, not quite getting the jump over Skullman, and that charge shot going high is a big problem.
Oh my god.
It's so mean, he just stops.
He stops and wow, Fireman dies, and this is going to be very hard to recover from, sadly. So
Vandal's late into Starman's stage here, jumping over the little robot. Doesn't have the full health going into this fight, but this is a pretty manageable fight. And it's also one that most players are familiar with, so we'll see if Vandal is able to sort of come back here after some deaths in Toadman stage. Mulgames is showing us, I think this is Napalm Man stage in Mega Man 6, whereas Devil Tifa has gone for Blizzard, which is definitely one of the more common we've seen throughout the season.
We've seen a little bit of Napalm Man. We've seen also some Tomahawk Man and Centaur Man once, but not with great success. So Mega Man 6 has actually a lot of viable option, and still trying to go fast. You should go for the Flame Man or Wind Man, but Blizzard Man, Yamato Man, Night Man, Tomahawk Man are pretty close together around the 2 minutes mark, 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Devil Tifa is on that very scary section with those explosive blocks that were so heavily used in Mega Man Maker, by the way.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah, that was the no fear on the bombs there, doing the jump over the explosion, coming down on the door. It's definitely faster than waiting on the pillar to the side, but it's a lot less safe. So Devil Tifa, even late into a tournament here, is perfectly willing to play risky. It speaks a lot to their confidence, and they're doing really well on Blizzard Man here, not getting hit by the snowflakes, so already has enough of a health lead here that even if they do take a bunch of hits from the snowflakes, they're still going to be able to come out on top. We've got, I think that's still Fireman in the bottom right, caught between two of these shield enemies. He's got the E-Tank this time, so that's going to help out a lot as he knows the boss a lot better now, and hopefully this is going to be the one for them. But still in Mega Man 4, as Devil Tifa is finishing Mega Man 6, we don't know where the other two players are currently. We'll check in with them in a little bit. Now maybe the Devil Tifa has indeed finished, and we can find out just what situation we're in with some of these players. Death there for Vandal.
So 2 players are done. Devil Tifa we've seen, and Quick as well. Quick's in great shape today. Has gone for some of the harder bosses at the start and had a fantastic second phase here through turns 3 and 4. Mulgames is soon to be done. Little Mai done as well. So the end is coming fast, and it's going to be difficult for Ash Lambert or Fireman to make it at that point.
We've got Tomahawk Man here, has 2 attacks, basically throws an axe, throws feathers. Surprisingly, the feathers are scarier than the axe. You wouldn't think so. And Mulgames doesn't even like the way that attempt started out, so they're going to run in and take a death here. Try this one again. Not sure how many lives they are working with, so this may be their final attempt. But you need to be far enough away to deal with both attacks, basically. If you're far enough away, the axe will go over your head, and if you are far enough away, the feathers will spread out enough that you can slide under one and kind of come up in between them. But admittedly, the feathers might be easier to deal with from up close while they're clustered together and you slide under all of them, but you need to be pretty close to Tomahawk Man, and considering he does these little jumps from time to time, it's pretty scary to be that close to him.
Ooh, jumping on top of Mulgames, they sadly die, and yeah, players immediately are discussing strats and what bosses they went for and what's remaining for them in the race chat. That's pretty funny. Fireman is still dying on Skullman. Sadly, the boss is pretty difficult if you don't know what you're doing, as shown here. Mulgames is trying to dodge those feathers, but if you do guess in between those 2 attacks, it's almost impossible to actually dodge those. You have to have like god speed reflexes, and it's a tough fight. And it's so close between those two. Mulgames is so going to die. 1 HP remains.
All the way back to the start of the stage. Fireman now in Skullman. Not sure if they still have that E-Tank to work with. They haven't been able to get a handle on this fight. It's so tough to figure out the timing to jump over Skullman when he gets close. That time it was successful. That's really big. Once you're able to do it once, you feel like you can be able to do it multiple times. Did indeed still have the E-Tank, is about halfway into the fight, so it's looking pretty good for Fireman. Mulgames is now on Napalm Man. Oh, Fireman is very close here, not getting the charge shot. Has one charged up here, is going to be able to let it rip, immediately finish off Skullman. Got to be pretty happy to finally be done with Mega Man 4. but the other players are very far along now. They really need something bad to happen to some of their competition, and they need this Mega Man 5 and 6 to go really well.
Ashley Lambert in a tough spot here, though. Very low HP and dies, sadly. So one of those three players is going to make it to the next turn, and the remaining two are going to be left out, sadly. So you have to go as fast as possible, but it's very tricky, and the players are on unknown territory at that point. It shows a little bit. So Fireman knows Starman, but Molgames has to go through Tomahawk Man entirely, getting a unlucky ammo drop here, sadly, and maybe they hope for an E-Tank or some HP at least.
Man, Vandal was really struggling with those enemies that pop out of the barrel, but has finally crossed that screen, at least is the furthest along of the players on stream, already on Mega Man 6. But we've seen some players just kind of get walled sometimes, so we'll see if everyone's able to avoid that situation. Certainly, if things continue the way they are right now, Vandal's got the big advantage being a full game ahead. But, you know, if bad things happen, the other two players could be there to capitalize. They're trying to do their best. Molgames very low on health, making sure to dodge some of those stray shots before moving on past the mini-boss. Fireman is in Starman stage, which seems to be a stage that they know very well, doing a nice short jump there to take out two of the Mets and not stopping at all to deal with that difficult screen, picking up the health refill as well. That's going to help out a lot. Heading into the boss, but none of it matters if Vandal is able to take out Nightman right now.
I don't know the fight. I don't remember it at all, and it seems pretty scary. It is one of those bosses that tries to get on top of you. Vandal is going to use a Decide at least.
Has 2 lives here. Oh wow, using the E-Tank. Okay, I would have held on to that for a second attempt, but I don't know. Maybe they felt like they're in the menu, that they should use it while they're in the menu. I don't know, but they're in it now. Every single shot is hitting that shield. Which reminds me of like Zelda 2, actually, with where the shield actually matters, where the shield is placed on Nightman. His attack sticks out and lingers for a while, so it's not so easy to jump over it without, you know, jumping to the left or the right. And wow,
nice
that was
dodge.
A really nicely
clutch.
timed jump. This is gonna do it, I think.
This is scary, but yeah, nice hits here and there. Vandal having nice reaction times and nice dodges on those attacks. Once again, I guess if you are super experienced with the game, the boss fight should go faster than that, but just seeing Vandal surviving here is pretty intense, considering Molgames is as well in Tomahawk Man, but Ash Lambert is qualified and eliminated are Molgames and Fireman.
So that is going to do it. We have our top 4 going back to Mega Man 1. It was a tough battle. Everyone in stages now that they're very uncomfortable with, struggling with a bit of the unknown, the unfamiliar, and 4 players have emerged on top. Molgames finishes actually pretty close behind, assuming, you know, stream delay and everything, we still have our top 4, but maybe I think Molgames' stream has been behind quite a bit sometimes, so we'll get the final results in and find out just exactly who is the top 4 for sure. Meanwhile, Fireman is late into Blizzard Man stage here. This is a pretty chaotic part of the stage here. It's very difficult to get through without getting hit, so when you're low on health, it can be a concern. No, that's not needed to slide earlier and jump over the block, or slide back underneath the enemy. Either way, it was kind of caught between a rock and a hard place there.
At the start of the UD7, the category for the games is to kill 10 bosses, and Blizzard Man got a lot of pull. You know, a lot of players went for and actually adding the boss to their runs, and it totally vanished in favor of Windman or Flameman quite recently. But it's still one of the faster option. It's about 6 or 7 seconds slower than Windman done perfectly, so you could go for that. But some screens do hurt, like those are very difficult to navigate. Windman has some very difficult stages as well. obviously, but Fireman is taking a lot of hits. You have the option to commit suicide here to refill your health, but you might want to keep your extra lives to go through the stage.
Yeah, maybe try to get to the next checkpoint on this life. Try to stretch it as far as you can. It's if you're perfectly confident in your ability to get through the stage, then you would probably be quite willing to just happily jump in there, take that death, and get going. But if you really think like you're going to need to stretch out your lives as much as you can, then you might be doing what Fireman just did there. Did end up dying to a combination of the turret and the spikes, but still has a couple extra lives here and is I think in a fair position to continue on damage boosting. It's very tough to hit that turret when he's below you.
That
Not quite enough.
Super mean, by the way.
It is. Oh, that's the game over, unfortunately. So we are going to cut away here. We're not going to see the finish from Fireman. We have 5 finishes on the board, but we only looking for...
He's 1 second behind!
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's so mean. Only the 4 fast to make it, and it's going to be Devil Tifa and Quick tied in points, but not in time. And Little My, next up, Ash Lambert, is going to actually make it, and Molgamis is going to be close axed here, and only Devil Tifa, Quick, Lil My, Ash Lambert are going to go through the final loop, starting with Megaman 1 through 3, and are going to play whatever is fastest and left for them, right? There's no reason to take a slower approach or slower option. If you do still have Gutsman, Flashman, or Topman, do go for those, but probably none of those is left for them. Maybe Flashman is still there.
Yeah, we only saw Devil Tifa do Flash, burned through that, but did they do Guts? Did we get to see whether or not they did Guts? I don't remember. I would have expected them, after doing Bomb, to do Guts, but maybe they went for something else, and they still have Gutsman waiting to really punish some players on this last turn. We no longer have to worry or wonder about what is happening off stream. These final 4 players are everyone left alive in this elimination tournament. I think probably we're going to see a big advantage for Devil Tifa in Mega Man 1 if we do have that Gutsman. But not having Flash in Mega Man 2, there's probably a couple players still with Flash alive, so that's going to be a huge advantage. It's about 10 seconds faster than any other stage.
It is, and plus it's super easy, so you can go confidently and not be scared about what's happening to you. So, it's a good relief. But we've seen the players being quite scared and guessing what's happening to them. So I don't know what to expect, but for sure the players are going to try to do as well as they can. Little Mag, Quick, Devil Tifa, Ash Lambert are all very good players, so at that point it's all about going for Gutsman for Devil Tifa now is going to be such a strong advantage actually, but Little Mai has Catman and it's a pretty fast one as well.
Fireman for Quick, and Ash is also just about as fast as Cut, but we saw Fireman playing this stage earlier, and we saw just how mean it is. There's a lot of sections where it seems you're basically forced to take damage if you don't have the Magnet Beam to bail you out and let you take some shortcuts. Little Mai doing a really good job first try getting onto the ladder through the 1-tile gap. That is so much more easily said than done, and doing a really good turnaround to take out that turret, but did get hit climbing up the ladder. But it just shows that they have practiced this stage quite a bit, and that's really going to help them out.
Little Mai, Quick, Ash Lambert are going to take a lot of time compared to Devil Tifa in those stages. Even if they go as fast as they can, the Gutsman is such a short stage. It's almost done for Devil Tifa actually. Meanwhile, Little Mai is a little bit struggling and is going to go for that jump maybe, or just go all the way around. Yeah, he's lining up pixel by pixel. That jump is so mean. The fact that just is possible is so awful actually. Just put a block there and be done with it.
Right, yeah. It just means if you want the record in this stage, you're gonna have to be like Cool Kid and just nail it every single time. There's a number of people who are actually pretty close to Cool Kid in Mega Man 1. Very, very competitive game. Devil Tifa is into Gutsman already, miles ahead of the competition, as we predicted would be the case. Really, really good fight as well. So in addition to having the faster stage, is also just on point on their execution. They're going to be able to do Quickman here, who is quite quick, not as quick as some of the others in terms of the time it takes to complete the stage, but definitely the fastest Robot Master in the way they jump around the screen. Very hard to deal with, especially the contact damage. So if you go in with pretty low health, it can be a bit of a scary situation. And there's a bit of damage boosting involved, very likely on the stompers beforehand. So some players will opt to get hit by the projectile rather than the body of those stompers, just to keep their health up for that difficult fight.
So Devil Tifa went for Top Man and Gemini Man on Megaman 3. So what's left for the Needle Man or Magnet Man, I guess? Those are not so easy stages, so we'll see. Kabuki is onto the boss almost and dies just before, and I think they still have one life left, so we should be able to make it to the boss, and abusing the select glitch should make it for an easier fight, I hope. Lil Mai is having a little bit of trouble, but did get Cutman in a nice position here and should be able to finish the fight. Nice.
Very well done. The optimal strat for Cutman actually doesn't use the select glitch, because you're able to always have a shot ready to hit him as soon as the iframes wear out. But it's if you're a little bit off and you get out of the rhythm, out of the cycle, you have to take some damage in order to keep that up, and was pretty low on health. So the select glitch there was a pretty safe alternative, assuming you're good at using it. It's not so easy.
Yeah.
You need to be quite good at knowing the rhythm of pausing and unpausing the game. It feels kind of cheap when you watch someone do it. You're like, oh, whatever, you just do it. But if you try it yourself, there's you definitely gotta practice it and get good at it. Devil Tifa has practiced the Quickman fight, finishing that off, moving on to Megaman 3. You're like almost an entire game ahead of some of these other players.
Yeah, Lil Mai still had Flashman left, showing some strong decision making and some ballsy one as well in the turn 6, 1 and 3, but on turn 5 here has some good options left. Devil Tifa is indeed going for Magnet Man, and Quick as well still has Flashman, so those are very, very nice options to have on hand. Meanwhile, Ash Lambert is going to have to go for the longer Quickman stage, but still pretty short, so we should see all the players trailing Devil Tifa by quite a bit. They're already at the Protoman fight here, taking their sweet time to kill it. Almost 2 full turn around by the boss, but it's hard to manage through that fight. It's very difficult.
It's so hard. When you watch the top players do it, they'll defeat Protoman before he even touches the right wall once. And I'm pretty happy if I get him when he touches the wall on the other side. And most of my attempts were around where Devil Tifa ended up there in that fight. So that's a pretty typical fight for someone who hasn't developed whatever mashing technique you need to get through there. I don't even know it. There's some kind of weird claw, fingertip mashing. You could be like Prissy and mash with your teeth. He literally bites down on the controller to mash the attack button. It is really weird and cool. You can see him doing it live actually at an HEDQ run. Don't remember, it must have been 2018, I think, but yeah, that's shoutouts to Prissy. Devil Tifa is very far along in Magnet Man. Capriquick still has Top Man ready to go in the final stage. That's going to be a big advantage over Little Mai, who is ahead of them currently, but is in probably unfamiliar territory in Sparkman.
This is the first time I actually can use that emote correctly. Alright, Devil Tifa has that one difficult Yoko block section with the whole, if you do fall, you are going to die. So they're taking their time, to set up the jumps, just to remember the rhythm. That's what you want to do if you're not sure on what you're doing. Meanwhile, Quick and Little Mai are trying to catch up. Quick still had Flashman and Topman left to go for. That's amazing, actually, meaning that they will be able probably to make up for the time they lost doing Fireman. Oh, and Little Mai falls to their death here.
This is the kind of thing that can help out Capriquick here. Has this fast, familiar stage, but Little Mai was ahead, but in a stage that they don't know nearly as well. And it shows there. They get hit, they fall into a pit. They are back to the checkpoint. It is actually very close between the two of them. Certainly, Little Mai, I think, is still a little bit ahead here. Devil Tifa into the Magnum fight here. Devil Tifa has a lot of experience with other Mega Man games, and is just he's Devil Tifa, so it just he just seems to be able to handle whatever gets thrown at him. So he's in a pretty good position to be one of the 2 players moving on to the finals. Is not choosing to take a hit there to cancel that attack, so is feeling at least a little bit defensive. Little Mai is into the Sparkman fight, has a lot of health, so I think they're going to be able to get this before Creek.
Yep, it is close, but Sparkman is going way better for them, and actually Little Mai does make it before Quick or Ash Lambert, and meaning that they're going to qualify for next turn, and they're going to play against Devil Tifa for the first place here, but Quick is probably going to claim 3rd against Ash Lambert, finishing 4th.
What a close race between Quick, Devil Tifa, and Little Mai. Quick just a little bit off here. Needs, I think that's 4 more hits on top, man. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Yeah, there it is. Most players will be okay with just the 3 there, dodging the tops, but nice job keeping an eye on the health pool and knowing, like, I can take this hit, it'll guarantee I get my 4 cycle and save time. That's a nice finish that I think is going to be just not quite enough. Ash Lambert here, Vandal into Mega Man 3. We're seeing, what stage is this? This is Hard Man stage, so there is the boss fight there. Not so easy a boss fight and pretty low on health, so we'll see if Vandal's able to do this here.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot those went back for you and actually got Vandal as well, I think. It's those shots are impossible to dodge, it feels like.
Yeah, when you're up close, it feels like they will only go a pretty short range, so you're like, oh, I'll just go further away, but they will actually go wherever you go, so they will follow you all the way across the screen. Vandal getting a little more accustomed to the boss, is also here with much more health than the previous attempt, so even if they do get hit each phase here, they're doing a pretty good job of keeping pace, so we'll see who wins the race between the 2. As long as you only get hit once and you don't let that stop you from getting all of your hits in, I think probably Vandal is going to come out on top.
Taking a lot of hits though, but they're winning the DPS race for sure. They're just ignoring the shots at that point and trying to get as many hits as they can. Although they have to be a little bit worried about taking so many hits, but they should make it.
No! I pounded into the ground from off the top rope. Still has a life though. Oh man, what a he jumped so far that time. Oh man, heartbreaker.
Meanwhile, Little Mai, Quick and Devil Tifa discussing about their strats and the error they might have done earlier. It's hard to tell what was the correct strat or not, but Quick did make it. And Ash Lambert is taking too many hits, I think, to be anywhere near safe, sadly, on that final attempt here.
Whoop. Oh,
Barely,
if there was a slide or a jump, that might have been enough. They did manage to avoid most of the hits on a previous cycle, way up close, but didn't really seize advantage, and just got hit from behind as the second fist returned. So we're not going to get to see the finish. Unfortunately, we are looking at the top 2 here in Devil Tifa and Quick. It was very, very close with Little Mai and Quick, but this is our 2 moving into the... No, I'm sorry, Little Mai... Yeah, I was like, wait, didn't Little Mai finish ahead? They did. We were adding their time there. It was Quick who finished in 3rd. Actually tied in points was Devil Tifa and Little Mai, so very evenly matched. What Robot Masters do they have left for the final turn?
I think Devil Tifa still has Pharaoh Man, and Little Mai doesn't. And that's going to be so huge. For Megaman 5, I think both of them went for both Starman and Gravity Man, meaning that they have to find another way around the game. And they both have Windman left, I think. Went for Flame Man, Blizzard Man earlier. But definitely Megaman 5 is going to be the biggest turn We should see Devil Tifa finish Megaman 4 first, having the fastest boss left and the easiest one, considering their practice. It's going to be interesting to see, but the race should start soon. Lil Mai is asking if they can do Pharaohman again. Being honest about it, but a little bit cheeky though.
Unfortunately, that is part of the game, part of the strategy in choosing when you do these different robot masters. Devil Tifa, I think, was playing to win from the start, right? Leaving Guts for down to top 4, leaving Pharaoh for when down to the final 2. You have to be pretty confident to do that, and it was certainly enough of an advantage to get Devil Tifa past that previous turn, and I think it's probably going to be enough of an advantage to get them past here. We've seen players pushed into really weird situations, and we've seen them die a whole lot, so even Devil Tifa, I think, if they don't have Gravity or Star in Mega Man 5, we could see some troubles, and that could be all Little Mai needs to catch up from this initial stage disadvantage. Also, if Little Mai does Toad Man really well, we're not going to see much of an advantage for Devil Tifa, but starting the stage off with an early death is not the kind of play we need to see.
To be honest, Devil Tifa is one of the better runner I know to play under the gun, under the pressure, and they should do fine here. So it's all up to Lil Mai to do as best as they can. Although Devil Tifa has the psychological lead here, starting with Pharaohman, and Lil Mai dies again. And yeah, it's going to not having done Pharaohman earlier is going to be a real struggle now.
I wonder if Little Mai is kicking themselves, the time that they did Pharaoh Man, did they have to? Could they have done Toadman instead and still made it past that turn, and then they wouldn't be in this situation? But it takes some confidence to go for that play. Devil Tifa did it and is paying off. Is currently on the second section of Pharaoh Man stage. It is still a pretty dangerous section. There's a lot of pits and a lot of spikes, even for players who have practiced this stage throughout the season. We've seen some deaths through this section. Devil Tifa is past all the scary stuff now, though, has just got the boss fight left and is pretty healthy, so is in a good position that way. Little Mai has got past that first screen finally, but the stage kind of doesn't let up. The speed changes with the water now instead of the rain, and there are these tough mini-bosses against these snails.
Meanwhile, Devil Tifa taking a weird hit to the face here is kind of in a dangerous spot. It's going to be very up close with Pharaohman. Should make it for an easier fight. But yeah, nice loop here, and Devil Tifa should get the final hit shortly. Meanwhile, Lil Mai gets to the first half of Toadman stage, and now has to go as fast as they can. Meanwhile, Devil Tifa is going to tackle something weird. It's going to be... Oh, they still have Gravity Man left. What?
Oh, he cannot be caught. If he still has Gravity in Mega Man 5, the stage advantage here for Devil Tifa is kind of ending our finals before it's even began, which of course was due to, clever decision making and good play in the previous turns. But it's turning our finale into a little bit of an anticlimax here. This is a much faster stage than something Little Mai is going to have to do. Still struggling with Toadman stage a little bit, playing very careful around the fish, and now we have this jump, which has got so many people.
They got it nicely, though. No problem. Feel like they know the stage at least enough to pass those difficult phases onto the boss. The boss is not too hard. If you don't let him jump on top of you, the Toadman almost got killed a couple of players earlier, so still you have to be a little bit careful and not be scared by those menacing hands. Toadman is such a weird boss, but I still like him.
I like that his belly wiggles when he's doing his thing, and you don't even get to see what he's charging up and getting ready to do, unfortunately, because he's now been obliterated by Little Mai. We'll see what Mega Man 5 stage we have here, but considering Devil Tifa is almost done with Gravity already, And Little My did still have gravity left, so it wasn't that I lost heart when I saw Devil Tifa had gravity, but Little My does as well. Unfortunately, lost so much time in Toadman stage, is a full stage behind Devil Tifa in the boss fight with set pattern here for Gravity Man.
Missing
but
a lot of hits.
Yeah,
that's weird. And taking some, that's okay. Is Devil Tifa, losing it a little bit? I don't know. The boss is dead though. 4 minutes and a half into the run. We're going to move on to next up is going to be Windman apparently, and yeah, a good decision making from Devil Tifa throughout the entire race. Went in to win. They did go for the harder bosses at the start and knew exactly what they were doing, and it did work for them. And not like even barely, they did succeed, where some players did try to play as cheeky at them, but it did not succeed for the other runners, and sadly that means that Devil Tifa has such a lead right now.
Can't believe that was literally the 3 fastest stages, Pharaoh, Gravity, and Wind, all left on the 3rd turn. So very well done by Devil Tifa just getting to this point in this situation. We'll see if they're able to ride this advantage to the finish. Little My had no problems with Gravity Man stage, about to enter the boss fight now, but again is at least half a stage behind Devil Tifa, who has now hit the checkpoint in Windman stage, past some of the most dangerous stuff. Still has that nasty panda regarding the ladder towards the end of the stage, but aside from that, Devil Tifa is pretty much home free. Passing up on the health and the extra life. The health is not going to help you too much. The panda, if it knocks you off the ladder, it's going to knock you into a pit rather than take away the last of your life, very likely. Nice Gravity Man fight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No problem. Did not miss a single shot, if I'm not mistaken, and is doing what they can. Little My just going for all those levels as fast as possible, but Devil Tifa is not even going to be knocked into the pit here. Just has that very easy boss fight left. I say very easy, but it got killed some players. The Windman pulling you toward them is sometimes hard to avoid, and half a bar of HP should be enough for Devil Tifa. They're pretty experienced with the boss fight at that point. We are 3 months into UD7, and the players have done that fight multiple times, and yeah, indeed, Devil Tifa is not struggling at all and should get the final hit in a couple of shots. Here we go. So Little My is going to be like half a stage behind, just had to go through. Toadman died a couple of times at the start, and sadly it's too good of a decision making and overall execution by Devil Tifa to stay into the race here. But no, there was how many? 11 players at the start of the tournament here, and it was not so easy to stay within reach for Devil Tifa for the entire tournament.
Yeah, if anyone, if you had to pick one person to win going into this thing, Devil Tifa is a pretty good candidate. He has it was the 2nd best time on the UD leaderboard. I think now it is the 3rd. Taker got a recent improvement, getting a sub 20. But Devil Tifa has a ton of experience with Megaman 2 as a past game in the season, and is just very good at the game. So combined with playing very well under the weird pressure of these unfamiliar stages, it really was just playing to his strengths. Little My did a very good job of keeping up the way that they did here. Windman stage, they got caught up a little bit on some of these fans, but totally deathless. No major hiccups or concerns here, except now they might be caught here with the ladder. This is the infinite I was talking about. Does a really good job of getting around that top cannonball right at the peak of its arc. Not so easy to do, so nice recovery, low health going into Windman stage, but I think this is doable for Little My.
Windman is just a third of their HP. Oh, nice dodge by Little My. You can just jump above the projectiles with ease compared to some of other bosses we've seen tonight, but Little My is maybe able to take another hit, but not much more, so they have to be careful. But yeah, Windman is dead, and Little My finishes pretty quickly considering how much they went through today, but still not able to beat Devil Tifa. Very, very nice decision making by them. Devil Tifa finished in 7th place on round 2, keeping all those good bosses for the final round, and still got first place in 8 minutes 33 in the previous round. So that's pretty surprising considering what they went for. But deciding to go for the harder bosses right off the bat did pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a victory of decision making and planning and strategy, perhaps more so than execution on Devil Tifa's part. So very, very well done. I think this format is very cool. It's got a lot of potential. It's got me asking, do I want to go find a bunch of 46 Robot Masters and do another larger tournament with them and everyone who wants to play on the UD? And that was really cool. I like the strategy element. I think it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, it has something. I would love to see, like, maybe, 4 players together, and you do eliminate just one, and you have like different rounds, and you still have to go through a lot of bosses if you want to make it to the end. There's something to be done for sure with the Megaman. And especially the 46 bosses runners, like I would love to find some players. It's very, very fun, and the if we were to do that another time, the meta game of that first time, would probably incentivize the players to go for the same strat as Devil Tifa did, meaning that if you do the same thing, you could beat them by just going for easier bosses than everyone else. And it's the main game here is actually pretty big. There's a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap up the first ever Megaman 46-ish Robot Master Elim turn. We'll work on the name. We'll workshop the name a little bit.
Something.
But that was a ton of fun. We'll resume more serious business in the Ultimate Decathlon. When? Certainly the weekend that is coming up is going to be our second chance, last chance qualifying tournament.
Yeah, but before that, on Thursday at 8 p.m. European time, that's 2 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to have Steffler, Olnecker, Fireman, Cupwick, and Astrom going for an earlier chance at the last chance tournament, because they're not available on Saturday. They still have only the one chance, and then everybody else is going to join them on Saturday, playing all 10 games in a row. So the Decathlon has a name for a reason. All those players have to be very good and efficient at playing 10 games in a row, and they've been practicing a lot for that, and it's finally coming to an end. So on Thursday and Saturday we are playing the last chance tournament, final chance to qualify for the grand finals, happening in 10 days, the week after that, and then top 8 will qualify for the live finals happening at Stunfest in Rennes on May the 18th and 19th. So that's going to be pretty cool. So lots of stuff on the table for a lot of players, and it's happening live on Speed Gaming on Thursday and Saturday.
Now, you called it the live finals, but I want to stress that it's actually called the Ultimate Finals. And I love the grand finals is not enough for the Ultimate Decathlon. So that is very cool. Best of luck to all the runners practicing for their qualifying chance. Speed Gaming, like you said, is going to have that content as well as much more coming up on not this channel, but Speed Gaming 2. Is Azure Dreams. There's a tournament going on for this game that is pretty cool. You might want to check that out. And it's going to start. It started about 6 minutes ago, I think. So you got to hurry if you want to get there. Wind Waker Randomizer also in progress on Speed Gaming 3. Later on the main channel, we'll have some Donkey Kong Country 3 and Kirby's Dream Land, one of our 10 games in the Ultimate Decathlon. So that's what's happening today on Speed Gaming! Schedule to find where and when those things will be. Always something going on, all on Speed Gaming channels all week long, 24/7 it seems, 7 days a week. So always tons to see. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. Hopefully you come back on Thursday for our qualifying tournament. It's going to be a good one.